Well, I'm still waiting on the content claim to go to court, so let's do something that's probably less likely to be claimed. Bibleman. So I didn't give this enough pretense, but as I stated in the original, much lower quality version from 4 years ago, Bibleman is a superhero who used the Bible's many verses to fight villains and solve kids' minor problems. Back when I was originally doing this 4 years ago, this was much harder to do episodes for. There were a total of 7 online, and they were all on archive.org. But, thankfully, 2 years ago, a man going by the name of The Cheater uploaded most of them. So, to him, I say very much thanks. Oh, and if a Cynical Reviews video comes out anytime close to this, hey, sorry I nerded out while we did the watch-along. I enjoyed it, but if it was a little bit messy for you, I apologize. And enjoy the gift, sir. But now that more episodes are online, I can actually go back to the soft beginning of the Bibleman show. The show can be divided into about 4 sections. So that's the Bibleman show, Bibleman Adventure, Power Source, also known as the New Adventures of Biblemans, and the Animated Adventures, which is the currently still running era. Now, we are at the Bibleman show point of the series. However, there's only 4 episodes in the Bibleman show, and 2 of them are boring. The episode starts with someone, namely Bibleman, walking around what is later to be revealed as Eaglegate Manor in the Bible Cave, pushing his hand to the light button. Yes, I know the door opened at the same time. I can prove it's the light button. Oh, and some little garbled shit plays when he presses it. We go into a freeze frame just as Bibleman grabs the helm, but as the video starts to fade, the freeze frame resumes. I genuinely can't tell if that's a genuine mistake or it's supposed to be intentional. If the editing software could only handle so much editing effects this early in the show's run, and the guy just didn't export a single frame to hold on. Blah, blah, blah. Mine decides to fight demons instead of go to therapy. Blah, blah, blah. Miles found a Bible in the woods and chose to name himself Bibleman. So the Bibleman show intro was used for a short while. It's a bit more upbeat than the later one, almost kind of like a kid's show or something.
Everyone you know, 'cause it's just about time for the Bibleman show. It's the Bible, it's the Bible, it's the Bibleman show.
By the way, these kids in the intro don't show up past next episode. I genuinely hope they weren't promised a longer contract, but because technically it was the end of the season, they were able to, whoever was making the show was able to weasel out of making more. The proper episode starts with a girl late to a rehearsal. We hear the first song of the episode, Bible Vision.
Are set on the word. We have got Bible vision, and we are gonna look forward.
By the way, there's no name for these songs in the credits, so I will call them whatever I fucking please. Although I will point out how the larger kid is not really able to keep up with the moves, so he's very slightly behind the rest, and this is a common occurrence throughout the rest of the episode. As the song wraps up...
Run, yes run, my little late one. The fun's about to start.
Our main kid for this episode, Ashley, listens to the devil behind the tree. So, there's no proper reason explained for why she's late for a multiple time. So, why is she? Is it because she's a smaller child and would take longer to get anywhere? Nah, it doesn't matter. The only thing that matters in this is that she lied. The kids bicker before the psychic beam is activated and summons Bibleman. Does Bibleman get summoned to any group of children bickering?
Invictus Emperor!
They can't go on acting like kids! We've got to be sensible and make things work!
So Bibleman senses the creeper behind the tree, but instead of dealing with it, tells the kids to be a light to others. Thanks for nothing, asshole. There's some issues with the costume, but I won't bring it up until the fight scene, because that's where it's more relevant. Ryan, feeling bad for calling the liar a liar, decides to give her more responsibilities. What the fuck, Ryan? Are you trying to get this thing teared down? Like, regardless of their actual status as a liar, that's a bad call. The main issues currently in this episode are that we really don't see them fleshing out any of the concepts. Ashley wants to do well in the church group, but keeps making genuine mistakes and tries to cover for them. Like, if I was to change some slight things about this, have the first scene in the show be Ashley working late, practicing on her rehearsals, then they cut to the morning and she's sleeping in past her alarm, and then she panics and then has to go catch up because she's late. And, like, you know, have it be this type of thing where it's like she's genuinely trying, but instead of that, it's literally, we don't get a reason for why she's late, but she's just going to tell a lie instead. At the initial fib, have her double down and have her attempt to gain more responsibility in the group just to prove herself, because it's like, I was late, but I won't be late next time, and I'll get some of the music, and, like, have it be genuinely convincing, just so that when she does fuck up, story continues. Like, but what should I expect? This is Bibleman show. Why would we focus on any of the kids during the actual plot? This is resolved in later episodes because, hey, guess what? We start to see a little bit more of their personal lives. Although, there is still an issue with that, but I will get to that when we get to those episodes. The Fibbler decides to talk to himself, as this is one of the few villains in the show that doesn't have a henchman. Next song starts as we skip to the performance later that night, playing a song I will call We Are the Truth of God's Love, as that is the only repeated verse. Ryan is still having issues catching up, but now we have nodding parents to cut back to. The children seem to be complimenting each other on their dance moves, while the Fibbler sits above in the church. You know, the fact that this demon, like, later they'll be like, I know what you are and where you came from, and, like, that's a demon, right? Why is there a demon sitting inside the church? Wouldn't he catch fire?
Who cannot enter the house of God?
God is not here. This is an empty box.
The pastor asks for the second tape. The Fibbler decides to fart out his mouth again, and Ashley fights it. For a second.
What are you talking about, Ryan? That's your responsibility.
Lies in your house of God? No wonder he has abandoned you.
So, are lies just magic farts that we have to actively fight? I'm not sure if that's exactly what the moral you want to go for in this story, as maybe it should be similar to, I don't know, something like VeggieTales, where the lying gives them strength instead of, per se, just them providing the lie. The kids start to argue again, but Bibleman seems to be busy, and the pastor has to dismiss the congregation, because why would a pastor have backups of the original copies of these songs? It's not like he would definitively have a computer that he could access. The Fibbler compliments himself again, and goes to leave the church when Bibleman, man hard at work, acting like a bootleg Santa, spots the Fibbler.
Whoops.
As we get into the action sequence, let's talk about this costume. It's genuinely terrible. Like, to list everything wrong with this entire design would require Edna Mode and a fashion degree, but we'll stick to the overall look and combat use. So using yellow as the complementary color of this type of purple, while a decent choice, it's the wrong yellow. I'm not that versed in color theory, but I can tell Cyberpunk Apology isn't the complement of royal purple. Quick Google search says it's pistachio? Okay, so some versions of Hulk, Brainiac 5, and Drax kind of get close to that version. I'm saying original Drax, not the one that is more recently used. Batgirl used a similar tone in the Burnside runs, with a very, but not as dark purple, nor... I will say that his helmet could do with a little bit of work, specifically how there's a giant fucking M on it. You know, since at this point in the story he still has a secret identity. I know it's probably supposed to be M for man, as in Bible man, but you know what else an M can stand for? Miles. I mean, admittedly, it's better that he does this instead of something like BM.
What does that stand for?
For sitter. Yeah, sitter. Originally, I was going to have initials for babysitter, but then I would have been going around wearing a big BS, and you understand why I couldn't go with.
The breastplate is clearly too large, affects shoulder articulation to the point he can't really move, and is garishly yellow. The cape is clearly too big, as it's tucked into his gauntlets in multiple scenes. Especially any that requires it not to be flowing everywhere. The boots, pants, and belts are technically the least harmful, as they are not actively getting in the way. However, they are not doing him any favors. His gauntlet at least has a deploy lightsaber option, so that is at least something useful. Similar to episodes 4 and 5 lightsabers. Because, you know, it's supposed to be it is literally a giant clunky glow stick. Instead of, you know, the wiffle bats that later Star Wars gets. The Fibbler gets a few swings in before teleporting when Bibleman is distracted by Nikki reporting Ashley left the group. Back at Eaglegate, Miles tries to deduce who of his villains this is, scrolling through a list of characters that don't exist but I'd much rather see.
Left foot Louie.
Like, how is being unlucky enough of a sin to be in Bibleman's rogues gallery? Or being left-footed? Unless there's also a seamstress Sally who uses mixed fabrics. Or bus seat Barry, who sat where a menstruating woman has sat before. Knowing how Old Testament Trinity Broadcasting Network was, would not be surprised in the slightest. We get to Song 3, Reformed Rabbi Bill Clinton, as Ashley walks around sad with her bike.
I know what's right.
As the song wraps up, Bibleman finds her on a park bench. He talks to her and he quotes some verses that very loosely fit the moral of the episode, tells Ashley to ask for forgiveness from God and her peers.
For what I am doing, I do not understand. I don't understand why I act the way that I do.
Later on, at the next rehearsal, they hint at the Fibbler's plan to break up the kids' music group. Yeah, Satan definitely has this as his top priority. Not like lying to the public from gas tycoons, or even maybe anti-vaxxers. The apology scene takes forever because the Fibbler won't shut the fuck up, and it has to keep cutting back to him. Meanwhile, on the same filming day as the previous fight scene, Bibleman fights his alcoholism demon while quoting scripture that does nothing before the demon kills itself accidentally.
Proverbs 19:5. Dishonest witnesses and liars will not escape punishment.
Oh,
rocks.
Okay, I can't figure out a joke to go with this, so I'm just gonna leave it because I want to do something with this idea. I genuinely want to, and I feel I could probably tell a joke about this if I spent more time on it. However, I'm not getting any faster at this, so hey, guess what? This is coming out of fucking, 4 days late. So, I'm just gonna have to let it slide for now, because I do not have the time for this. So, this is just gonna sit on the screen, and hey, if you can figure out a joke to do with this fucking face, you type it out in the comments. I genuinely am stumped. Okay, I think that's enough time. On to the rest of the episode. The final song of the episode is We Are the Truth in God's Love, performed by the other guy.
Somebody broke a promise, and you're the one who's been hurt again.
With more nodding adults to cut back to whenever the performance gets a little bit off kilter. And that's the end of the episode. This was before Bibleman decided to start talking to the children. I'm not sure if that was a overall decision from higher up in the studio or the production crew being like, hey, we should have the kids talk to the pastor or whatever, giving recommendations. I don't know. Doesn't matter. But this was before that point. So that was Season 2, Episode 1 of Bibleman. From us at the studio, Merry Christmas and have a Happy New Year. Now that new episodes of Bibleman are actually more readily available, I'll do more episodes. And I'll try to get that other video I've been working on for the past 5 months out. I apologize. And if I ever get anything resolved with the commentary, once that copyright thing has been resolved, I'm going to upload the next one. And then I will get to doing more of those. The reason they're paused right now is because I don't want to deal with more copyright claims, because that would limit what videos I can upload, which don't want to do that. So, apologize if you've been wanting to see more uploads. I've been a little bit occupied. Thank you.